It's a Manchu. Welcome back to Minecraft Bedrock vs. Java, where I play through both versions of the game and compare the two. I'm freshly back from my trip to the Nether. I've collected a bunch of resources, including a lot of quartz. And unfortunately, it's another one of those differences between Bedrock and Java Edition. In Bedrock Edition, stonemasons will always buy quartz. That's not the case in Java Edition, and unfortunately, in my trading hall, the stonemason I have there does not buy quartz. But that's okay. I have a lot of other uses for quartz, and I'm going to make use of the quartz today to build a couple of automatic farms. The first of which is going to be a chicken farm, one which I would not recommend you build yourself. It's probably not worth bothering, but I'm going to do it just for the heck of it. And the other is a automatic melon and pumpkin farm, which probably is worth building yourself. Alright, so anyway, the stuff that I'm going to need to build this chicken farm, I'm going to start off with that. This is pretty much what I'll need. It's not too complicated. And in addition to those ingredients, I'm going to need many, many chicken eggs to get this going. So let me get started with this thing here. Okay, so I need an area about 4 blocks wide, so this will do the trick. I'm going to start... Dug a little further than I needed to there. Alright, place a hopper here. Heading into this block. I'll put a chest there at some point when I get a spare chest. I'm going to place on top of that hopper a slab. And I'm going to place on top of the slab a solid block. I'm going to use hay bales for this. And then a dispenser facing toward the slab. Okay, now close this area off with glass blocks. Like so. And put a chest there. I think I'll put a crafting table there just to have it there for the moment. Alright, now I need another hopper facing into that. Put a carpet on top of that hopper. And a block there temporarily. And a dispenser facing into that. Around that dispenser. Whoops. There, and the little glass chamber around that dispenser on top. Put a lever on there. Okay. Now the idea here is this top dispenser I'm just going to use to set this up. After I set it up, I'm not going to use it anymore. Just to get a bunch of chickens into this chamber here. Those chickens are there to lay eggs. When they lay eggs, the hopper puts them into this bottom dispenser. And then that bottom dispenser will shoot the chickens into this little chamber here with a slab in it. Now, baby chickens are short enough that they can exist in that little half-block space without any trouble. But once they grow up to adults, they'll suffocate in the solid block above and die and then drop their items into the chest. I need to come up with a redstone system that will detect when there are eggs in that bottom dispenser and activate the dispenser to throw them in there. Let's see. I have to break these blocks temporarily here. I'm going to put a comparator there. Leading into a solid block. Then a repeater. repeater facing that way. Redstone torch facing that way. Solid block there. Redstone there. Solid block above that. You may recognize that cycle timer. I built something just like that for the zero-tick kelp farm in the Bedrock world. Except I have this on 2 ticks, obviously, because if I had it on 1 tick, it would burn out the redstone torch. So that's going to repeatedly activate this lower dispenser, which is what I want. Now I want it to only be on when there's actually something in the dispenser. So that's where I connect this to here. Let's see. There we go. Alright, so now when there's items in here, this comparator will activate, which will activate this repeater. That'll turn off this redstone torch, which will then turn off this repeater, and then the timer will start to cycle, and that should do the trick. Alright, now I need to close this stuff off again. Okay, now let's get this thing loaded up and start making some chickens for the upper chamber. I only have to do this when I initially set it up. After that, I just let it go on its own. I'm probably going to need to fill this thing more than once to get enough chickens in here. Oh, look at that. So, I don't know if you caught that, but I threw a chicken egg in there, and a chicken was born, and a chicken died. What happened there was a mechanic in Java Edition called entity cramming. And entity cramming is something that only exists in Java Edition. There's a limit to how many mobs will fit in a single space. And by default, the setting for that is 24. So I know I have 24 chickens in here. And when another chicken came out, there were 25. And the extra chicken took suffocation damage and died. And the way this works is, if you have baby mobs and adult mobs in the same space, the adults will take the damage first. And they'll suffocate and die first. So in theory, you could use this mechanic to make some kind of a mob farm, or use it in some kind of mob farm. I don't know that it's all that effective to use it in like a chicken farm or a sheep or a cow farm. But you might use it in something like a Ziglin farm or an Ender or something like that. In any case, what that means is, since Bedrock Edition doesn't have that mechanic, I can actually put more chickens in the upper chamber. More chickens means they'll be laying more eggs, which means the Bedrock Edition version of this that I build will be slightly more efficient. But slightly more efficient than really, really inefficient is still not very good. And that's where I'm going to get into why I don't think you should build this in your world. I don't think it's really a great farm. It is very inefficient. So here's some numbers I can throw at you about this. A chicken lays an egg on average once every 5 to 10 minutes. And the chances of an egg hatching into a baby chicken are 1 in 8. Of those hatchlings, 1 in 32 times you'll get 4 chickens instead of just 1. So that means you get 35 chickens out of every 256 eggs. And since there's 24 chickens in here, the math tells me that you'll get, on average, about 26 raw chicken an hour from this farm. And that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. If I was to take a couple chickens and just manually breed them with seeds, and spend an hour just breeding chickens, then take a looting 3 sword and harvest those chickens at the end of the hour, I think by my calculations I'd get something like 225 raw chicken. 3.5 stacks of raw chicken. As opposed to this farm, which will give you a couple dozen raw chicken. Not really great. Probably not worth the effort. But what the heck, I built it anyway. So I can decorate this up a little bit. There. Alright, I guess that looks okay. That's passable. Now I have an automatic chicken farm, which is not really a great farm, but it's a farm, and it's automatic. Now let's move on to building a farm that I think is very useful, and that is an automatic melon and pumpkin farm. And this farm will produce tons of pumpkins and melons, plenty for my needs. So as I pan to the left, you can see over here, this is where I used to have my pumpkin and melon farm, and now I've replaced it with other crops because I'm not going to need it anymore. But this space isn't really big enough for what I want. The farm I'm going to build is going to be over here. And I've used netherrack to put down where the base of it will be. It has to be 8 blocks wide, east to west. And it can be as long as I want, north to south, as long as it's an even number of blocks. I'm going to make it 8 by 12. And the direction orientation is going to matter. So let's see, what materials am I going to need for that? That size, I'm going to need this stuff. 48 observers, 48 pistons, 84, 86 rail, 15 powered rail, something in that neighborhood, and a hopper minecart. So that's a lot of iron. It is fortunate that in both the Bedrock world and the Java world, I found an abandoned mine shaft and was able to collect all these rails. So I'm going to start by laying down the tracks. Okay, first thing is on the south side of this farm, and it needs to be on the south side. Put down a hopper facing out that way. Put a chest there. I'm going to want to make that a double chest, but I'll start with one chest. Now, comparator facing that way. Redstone torch here. And then a block on top of that. And then a repeater going there. Solid block on top of that. Powered rail there. Rail there. And then on the second block here, I will put a redstone block and a powered rail. And go up about 6 blocks. Another redstone, powered rail. And in this row here, I need to put redstone blocks. I have to be careful here because there's a ravine like right under where this farm is. As you can see, that's why there's all those mob sounds. There's the zombie sounds going on. It's because there is, like, right underneath here, a ravine. There we go. Now run the powered rail there. Okay, now this will serve as my collection system for all of the melons and pumpkins. The reason it's important that this has to be on the south side is you want the minecart when it gets, it's going to run along here, and when it gets winds all the way back around to here, you want the minecart to turn this way, turn to the right, and go back up here. So I'll just place this down, and it should run along. It completes its circuit, it turns back on there. If there were any items in the minecart, let me like throw some sticks at it or something. It'll start dropping stuff in the hopper, and as it does, this comparator turns on. That turns off this redstone torch under here. So the repeater turns off, and then this powered rail is no longer powered. Once the hopper is empty, then that powered rail powers back up again, and the minecart heads out again. So there we go. Give me my sticks back. Okay, for the next part I need a lot of dirt. Need to build up 5 blocks. Place dirt block there. I'm just going to put a temporary roof over this. I will get rid of this later, but I want to start with this. The only reason I built that is to make it easier to place these pistons. I'm going to place a piston facing down every other block all the way across. Okay. There we go. Now I can get rid of that dirt roof immediately. And between all the pistons, I'm going to put an observer facing down. Okay, so now I have a nice checkerboard pattern of pistons and observers all facing down. Now on top of all of the observers, I'm going to put a solid block. On top of all of the pistons, I'm going to put a piece of redstone dust. Okay, that's done. Later on I'll have to get back to decorating this place and spawn-proofing it a little bit better. But I just need it functional to start with. Alright, now in case you haven't figured it out, the plot for the farm is going to go between the pistons and observers and the track. And for that I need a bunch of dirt. In order to get this farm to be hydrated, I need to place some water sources around the outside. I'm going to put a stair here. Dirt block there. Go over. And we'll walk along that stairs. Now we have a water source. I can fill in the rest of this. Okay, I think that's it. Now you see why I made this farm 8 blocks wide, so that I could have water sources on the outside and everything in the middle can still be hydrated. Alright, I think I'm ready to plant the crops now. Alright, let's hoe all of the dirt. Okay, everything's hoed and it's starting to get hydrated. Now I need to alternate rows of pumpkin seeds and melon seeds, planting the seeds underneath where the observers are, not underneath the pistons. And the observer is watching this block where I'm planting the seeds. When I plant them, it's going to activate all the pistons around. So that's how I know I'm planting in the right place, because a piston would hit it if I was planting in the wrong place. Okay. Now a row of pumpkins beyond that. Oh, see, I planted in the wrong spot and nothing happened. That's fine. Okay. Alright. It's time to get this hopper minecart back up here. It's noisy, but I need it now. Let's grow these stalks up so that I can start harvesting melons right away. Now, whenever one of these stalks grows, the pistons will fire. And if a melon or pumpkin sprouts from that stalk, the stalk will bend toward the fruit. And that bending of the stalk is a change in the block, and it causes the observer to activate. And the pistons will fire. Sometimes these pistons like stick. I don't know why that is, but I've never seen that happen on Bedrock Edition. I know that pistons work differently in Java Edition and in Bedrock Edition. Their timing is different, and I don't know. That seems like a bug to me. Okay, other than the final decorations, there's one last step I need to make. In order for these stalks to grow, they need to have a light level of at least 9. So I need to make sure that it's lit up even back deep in there and even at night. And I'm going to place a row of jack-o'-lanterns around the outside. All the way around the outside. That not only provides light, but it prevents the occasional pumpkins or melons from falling outside the farm where the hopper minecart can't get to them. I think that's it. The farm is functional. And like I say, I'm going to decorate it a little bit more some other time. Maybe in the next episode I'll do some home-based decorations. But that's it. It's done. And the time it took me to finish that up, look at all the pumpkins and melons that I've collected already. Let's sort that out a little better. There you go. It's just going to produce a crap ton of it. And in the time it took me to build that, how many chickens do I have? Well, this thing probably isn't like fully ready yet. What have I got in here? I got 8 chickens, plus, I don't know, a stray raw chicken. I don't know where they came from. Just kind of sitting out there. But yeah, definitely the chickens inside here have grown up. And they are producing baby chickens down there. Should, when they grow up, suffocate and die. And if I sat here for 20 minutes, I could probably see it happening. Take my word for it. It's working, as you can see. I have a few raw chicken at this point. Compared with this thing, which I started afterwards, and it has so much stuff already. That's really awesome. Alright, well that's it. I have my chicken farm over here, which is kind of pathetic, but it's there and it's producing me some raw chicken. And this really awesome pumpkin and melon farm over here. I could do the same thing in the Bedrock edition, and I will. I'm just probably not going to show it off because it's the same exact build. It works just as well in either Bedrock edition or Java edition. Although, as I said, because of the entity cramming mechanic, it may work, the chicken farm may work slightly better in Bedrock edition. It's still going to be pretty pathetic, but a little bit better. There's still a lot more stuff I can do, a lot more builds I can do. Now that I have ports, it was a huge obstacle in my way preventing me from building a lot of automatic farms. Now that I have quartz, I can build all of the different redstone stuff. Lots more stuff to build, lots more stuff to do. And just one last thing I should mention, if you actually made it this far in the video, you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching. You probably liked what you saw, so you should like this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything to do, and it helps me out a lot. And if you do subscribe, then you'll find out what happens next time on Amon Chooses Minecraft, Java versus Bedrock.